So with that, we'll move over to the keynote address by the Joint Secretary, Department of School Education and Literacy, Ministry of Education, Government of India, Mr. Vipin Kumar. Please come on stage and sort of address us, and I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of interest in what you have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ritika. Rachel Hinton, Senior Education and Social Development Advisor, FCDO. Terry Durian, Chief Education, UNICEF. Ritika Chanda, Director Education, British Council. Dr. Rukmani Banerjee, CEO Pratham, and all distinguished guests present here today. First of all, I'd like to thank British Council of India for inviting me for this event to share the experiences and challenges faced by school education during COVID-19. And I'll share my updates from the Ministry of NEP implementation also in brief. Today, when I stand here and share the developments and challenges of school education, I am confident about the resilience of our school education system, but at the same time, I am concerned also about the learning loss which have taken place during COVID to the children. Unlike many other countries, many other sectors, many other countries, our country and the number of children is different. It's huge actually. And it's going to take longer time and much more efforts to reverse the negative impact. If I share the data of children going to school, it's 20 to 50 million children going to schools, 250 million children in India, which is much more than the population of many countries. So it's a huge number. We have seen the times when entire country was under lockdown due to COVID. All schools and school activities came to sudden halt. Nobody knew what to do. And the school closures interrupted learning process of children and caused learning loss at every stage. At that time, we were just thinking how to start. We sat together with all stakeholders, with the state governments also, and decided, yes, we have to start at least somewhere. And started preparing the recovery plan. While we were preparing the plan, so we had to take care of all the concerns. As one of my friends was asking, these concerns included such as teaching learning for children who had no access to digital devices, continuing learning for Divyang children, maintaining the balance between physical and mental health and well-being, teachers' reach and access to engaging learning material, etc. So to begin with, and to have starting points, we issued guidelines. And these guidelines were not only confined to the teaching process, but it included guideline for admission of children of migrant laborers in nearby schools. And the data we have in ministry, large number of students who migrated from cities to rural area, they were given admissions in nearby government schools. The guidelines to address the issues of mental health of students. The guidelines for addressing the challenges of digital education. Like a child should not be exposed, school-going child not more than 3 hours or 4 hours. So these guidelines also were issued. And these guidelines, they set the tone for bringing the school education back on track in the country. As a result, while few children, they were learning to study from home through devices, through TVs, through worksheets which were distributed by teachers in rural areas, through radios. Others were learning from the community, from peers, but learning started. For us, the next step was to rearrange the online content, because that was the main focus, and contextualize that content as per local needs. And the states were very helpful in that initiative, and different stakeholders also, non-state actors also, they joined us in this effort. It would not have been possible without a collaborative effort. After this content, how to deliver? How to deliver? You can have the content, but how to deliver it? You need to have a robust system which can deliver these contents not only urban areas, but in rural area also and remote areas also. And for that, the government started PM Vidya initiative. It was launched in May 2020. It's a comprehensive initiative using technology with equity, which unifies all efforts related to digital, online, and on-air education to enable multimode access to education. On PM Vidya, we were having 6 verticals right now, and the most important is Diksha. Diksha is One Nation, One Channel platform. Other is Swamprabha, which is one class, one channel. Then there is a vertical for e-content for open schooling. The next is vertical for extensive use of radio, community radio and podcast. And there is a vertical for e-content for visually and hearing impaired also. So under Diksha, all states and union territories, they were benefited by onboarding on a single digital infrastructure. The infrastructure which is artificial intelligence based and is highly scalable. Just if I give the figure of this Diksha platform, it is having energized textbooks and e-content in 33 Indian languages, including Indian Sign Language also. India is the first country in the world, as far as I know, to provide QR coded textbooks with specific e-content tagged to it and free to elementary school children. If I share the number of textbooks, more than 6,000 textbooks, 6,451 textbooks till date of various grades of different state governments and NCERT. They are QR coded with e-content, and it is having 2.76 lakhs pieces of e-content hosted live as on date. Over 60 crores, if you see the figure, 60 crores, 60 actually, are such textbooks which have been printed and are being distributed to children at their homes all over India during this COVID. Since lockdown, I'll just give one more figure of Diksha. Since lockdown, Diksha has received an average page hits of 5.5 crores daily, spanning across 5,748 crores minutes of learning of its e-content. And these figures are authentic data actually. What you are saying that evidence based, so this is the evidence. Now for students who are not having access to devices and internet, because you know that all these students were not having devices. We know all these things. So how to reach out to those children? But they have TV at homes. So 12 DTH channels exclusively for school education under Swam Prabha, which is the another vertical of PME Vidya, was started. It is having one channel dedicated for one class for students of grade 1 to 12. Now students is not having TV, then radio, community radio, podcast, they are extensively being used for children in remote areas who don't have access to TV. Around 3,480 pieces of curriculum based audio contents for class 1 to 12 have been produced by NCERT. And these contents are being telecast on 397 radio stations, which include 11 Gyanwani FM radio stations, 254 community radio stations, podcasts, iRadio, JioSan mobile app, and other channels also. And more than 1,300 live programs have also been broadcast on radio. Now, that was the last group of students who were not having access to any of these things. For that, we discussed with states, and worksheets were developed. They were printed, they were distributed by the teacher, by the community, by the peers. So the ministry, states, stakeholders also, and this contribution by the society, we try to touch each and every child in the country. Government try to take care of children with the special needs also in collaboration with NIOS. And NIOS is having one DTH channel dedicated to the students who are hearing impaired in sign language. And for visually and hearing impaired students, the study material has been developed in digitally accessible information system DAISY and in sign. Both are available on NIOS website also. And 1 hour program in sign language for secondary and senior secondary level students also is being broadcast by NIOS on PME Vidya. To augment all these efforts on this platform, one alternative academic calendar also was developed by NCERT. And this is the calendar which the parents can use, can guide the student sitting at home. It consists week-wise plan with interesting activities and challenging activities. And these activities are mapped with the learning outcomes, themes, and chapter of textbooks. Now, NCERT developed one bridge course also for out of school children from preschool to class 8th, which aims to bridge the learning gaps and helps out school children to be mainstreamed in regular classes. The reply which you were asking, despite these all efforts, it was necessary because we knew that students sitting at home, they'll be feeling bored and there may be some socio-emotional support they may be requiring. So one initiative, Manodarpan, that was started. It covers wide range of activities to provide social support to students, to teachers, and families for mental health and emotional well-being, where students can take counseling also. The counselors were there. The aspect of capacity enhancement of teachers, because you know that contents can be developed, teachers can be provided, but teachers, they need support and capacity enhancement, which is the most critical link for education ecosystem. The NISTHA, National Initiative for School Heads and Teachers Holistic Advancement. Before COVID, it was face-to-face also, but during COVID, it was made 100% online. And NISTHA is in 3 verticals, NISTHA 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0. 1.0 is for elementary level teachers, and if I give the number of teachers who are having the facility of NISTHA training online, it's 42 lakhs, 42 lakh teachers during COVID. And secondary level teachers, school heads, they are 10 lakhs. and Nistha 3.0, which is for foundational literacy and numeracy. This is a mission which has been launched after NEP to cover preschool education also, and to achieve the outcomes. It's 25 lakhs. So these are few initiatives, few actions which were started during COVID, and other than these efforts, there were a lot more efforts, initiatives happening in states and helping these students. By these efforts, not all the children have been able to get education. I'm not claiming that everybody got the education and the facilities and was helped, but it can definitely be accepted that school going students have not stopped learning during pandemic because of these initiatives. And these initiatives have been successful in controlling the damage caused by this pandemic to the education system to a great extent. While sharing these experiences here, I don't mean to convey that we are back to normal or we have done something great, but just that these efforts have helped us in recovery of learning loss in the school education, while we also keep learning from the best practices of other parts of the world. So these different ways to address the different social sectors of students here in India may be explored by others as well. So this is the only objective, but the data and the figure, they are huge. In order to reverse the learning loss, the thrust for education this year is on digital education. In a big way, we will have to obviously use the technology. And for this, one class, one channel, which were 12 channels earlier, are going to be increased to 200 channels this year under PME Vidya. In vocational courses, to promote crucial critical thinking skills and to give space to creativity, 750 virtual labs in science and mathematics and 75 skilling e-labs will be set up in this year. A competitive mechanism for development of quality e-content by the teachers, so that teachers, if they develop e-content, so there should be some competition, some incentive also, some training also will be set up to empower and equip them with digital tools of teaching and facilitate better learning outcomes. Now, after all these things, where we stand today, so to judge, to assess the real situation at ground level, National Achievement Survey, it was done in November 2021. And this is a national level large scale assessment to obtain the information about the learning achievements of students. 3.4 million students, every child did not participate, but it was a sample survey. 3.4 million, it's a big data, a big number in fact, of class 3, 5, 8 and 10th grade from 720 districts out of 733 districts of the country. They participated in NES. And participation included this time not only government or government aided school, but first time the private sector schools also, because government wanted to see the impact of COVID for private school students also. NES, however, does not provide the score for individual student or school, but provides a system level reflection on effectiveness of school education. State and district report cards, they already have been released, they are in public domain. And as NES findings help compare the performance across the spectrum and across population, so now the states also and the government of India also are working with these inputs to prepare a future action plan for 5 years or 3 years and how to go ahead, because NEPS gives a very broad idea about the impact, the gaps also. So we are working on that. Very soon And many initiatives, as per the recommendation, means findings of NES, are under implementations. Now I'd like to move to national education policy. In brief, I think most of us sitting here, they know what are the recommendations, but I just would like to repeat at the cost of repetition. As we know that in 2020, NEP was announced, and the objective was for holistic development of student and to have the students who have the skill of 21st century. It aims to ensure that no child loses any opportunity to learn and excel because of the circumstances of birth or background. So how to implement NEP? The school education department prepared one plan, Sarthak. Sarthak is having around 281 activities. Time-bound action plan is there. Sarthak is a flexible, interactive, indicative, and inclusive implementation plan. If I say the points in brief, the most important is ECCE, Early Childhood Care and Education. That's the most crucial element of NEP, because first time it takes care of preschool education and the education which a child takes before going to the formal education. We are having 10+2 system, and that's why it has been changed to 5+3+3+4. The medium of instruction also should be home language, mother tongue, local language or regional language as per NEP, because initial years child learns to read and later on he reads to learn. NEP suggests 4 curriculum frameworks for ECC, for school education, for teacher education and for adult education, and these frameworks are under preparation. It advocates the transformation of teaching learning process to have innovative pedagogies. The learning should be focused on experiential, inquiry-based, discovery-based teaching. We need to have pedagogy which has integration of art, sports, and storytelling as its components. As a policy, it's focused to shift from rote learning to competency-based learning with focus on holistic, integrated, enjoyable, and engaging learning. It speaks about shifting from summative assessment to multi-dimensional, holistic assessment, and the work already has started, and a group has been set up in the ministry for making changes at initial level for primary education system. We need to have a holistic report card by using artificial intelligence for identifying a specific aptitude of child. It lays emphasis over vocational education, and it targets that at least 50% of learners should have exposure to vocational education by 2025. It lays special emphasis on socio-economically disadvantaged groups and children disabilities. It suggests to have a digital platform and to optimize and expand the ongoing ICT-based educational initiative. So these were few suggestions, few important suggestions by NEP, and we are having 2 schemes. One is Samak Shiksha, which is our flagship scheme, and other is PM Poshan Yojana, which was earlier midday meal schemes, and both of these schemes have been aligned with NEP. Many initiatives have been introduced and implemented. So as far as ECC is concerned, the support component for pre-primary sections under Samak Shiksha and co-location of Anganwadis in government primary schools has been made a part of Samak Shiksha. The training of master trainers for training of Anganwadi workers and in-service training for ECC teachers is a new component under Samak Shiksha, because this is very important component. In this component, we will have to work with other ministry also, WCD, Women and Child Development. So there are some issues, we are sorting out the issues, but we are working on this component. Then National Mission on Foundational Literacy and Numeracy, Nipun Bharat. And this mission has been launched to ensure that by 26-27, every child in primary school achieves the desired learning competencies in reading, writing, and numeracy. So the goals are there, competencies are there, and how to map those competencies, how to ensure that these competencies have been achieved, outcomes have been defined. And they have been mapped also from pre-primary, preschool education till standard 3. Then to ensure that all the children are at the same platform when they come in the standard 1, a Vidya Pravesh, it's a 3-month play-based school preparation program has been developed to ensure that all children have a smooth transition to schools when they enter grade 1. And it is being implemented by all states and UTs from this academic year. Now, how to track the achievements of a child, because outcomes have been finalized, initiatives also have started, FLN also has been launched. So all the states, they have been requested to have Vidya Samiksha Kendra, and Vidya Samiksha Kendra is a system to track the child from initial level till the last stage of school education, and it will leverage the benefits of technology in bringing big leap in tracking of learning outcome of each child. The funds also have been sanctioned under Samak Shiksha to states, and states have already started working for VKS. As I told that government, there should be a platform, technology, digital platform. So NDR is there. Under NEP suggests use of ICT in a big way. So we are going to have NDR very soon, which is a digital architecture. It will not only support the teaching and learning activities, but also the educational planning, governance, administrative activities of center and state and union territories. 36 building blocks of NDR in 12 categories have been identified. National Curriculum Framework, I already told that National Steering Committee is working, and I hope by the end of this year or very soon something will come out. For vocational education, we have made the provisions for exposure of vocational education to upper primary students also, means 6 to 8 standard. For Samak Shiksha, under Samak Shiksha, the support to girls for KGBP, Kasturba Gandhi Balika Vidyalaya, the upgradation has been allowed up to standard 12. And the scheme has enhanced the provisions for training for inculcating self-defense skills for girls. And special focus has also been given to provide better resources to children with special need from pre-primary to senior secondary level. After NEP, after the implementation under Samak Shiksha, PM Poshan, the participation and the support from community also is very important. And for that, we are having few programs in this year going to start in August. We are working on that. But I think that if parents or the family members, they also become integral part of education of children at home, so that will be best actually, and only that time we can achieve the spirit of national education policy. We should have special attention to build the capacities of parents and families for understanding the learning goals to be achieved by children from grade 1 to 5, because you know that this first time if you go through the goals, so in first attempt you won't understand. So we need to tell the parents that these are learning goals. They should come to PTM, they should ask the teacher, just see that my child is at this level or not. So that we need actually, and the collaboration is required from the community, participation from community is required. But lastly, what Pradyumna said in his speech, that the critical factor is teacher. Whatever initiatives we start, whatever implementation and whatever you do, but still the key person is teacher in this ecosystem. The teacher training is being done on Nistha, but other than this teacher training, we should start reforms in teaching preschool uh, pre-service teacher training actually, and then in-service teacher training also. So the quality of teacher education institutions needs to be strengthened. Professional standards for teachers needs to be framed. The capacity for SCRT and DIET and BRC should be enhanced. They should be more vibrant. The most important component is we need to institutionalize a transparent teacher recruitment and a transfer system which is very transparent, which will give incentive to teacher. This is very difficult thing. But if teacher will not have that incentive to upgrade the skill or to perform better, so I think the chances are not very bright that he will perform better. So in the last, I'll emphasize that other than parents, the community, the initiative, digital content, lastly, in present situation at least, it is the teacher. And that's why you know that we have started Shikshak Pa. For last 2 years we have been doing it for 10-15 days. It's not Shiksha Par, it is Shikshak Pa. Pa for teacher, not for education. And so I finish this speech with the words dedicated to teachers. When the untapped potential of a student meets the liberating art of a teacher, a miracle unfolds. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for that big insight that you've given us. As always, when we hear about India, the mind completely boggles on the number, and it's very difficult to imagine the zeros after any of the figures, and everything falls into perspective in terms of how hard the job is. And thank you very much for your inputs in this area. We are sure to be in touch with you so that we are able to understand how we can support in many ways, and I'm sure all those who are here would be able to appreciate the work that's being done. Keep an eye on the work that is available, because sometimes we don't look at what is happening on the site and we kind of miss some of the new developments. The great challenge, I think, is that so many things are happening so rapidly that it's sometimes difficult to keep up. So thank you very much, and
Thank you.
please join us for the next session.
Thank you.
Thank you.